Welcome back. He has graced stages at festivals such as the Smoking Dragon, the Park Acoustics, Splashy Fen, Misty Waters, and the Mexican Food and Tequila Fest and Aandklas. That's multi-instrumentalist Conrad Rudolph, known as CONBAD in the music circles. After lockdown limited performances in the public space, the multi-instrumentalist went into the studio to reinvent himself and record a new EP, Bring Me a Musician. The Pretoria-based artist joins me now in studio to tell us more about his latest project. CONBAD, very good morning.
Dumela.
Good, how are you, man?
No, I'm good.
Good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you. So nice to be here. It's a little cold.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm actually jealous. Your suit is better than mine.
Oh, well, my father is a teacher, Multi Rudolph. And so I'm learning little bits here and there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
you're doing well.
Le chachi le re brr. But Kibulela Sepedi Khanyan.
You're doing very well.
Thank you.
You're doing very well.
I'm a good teacher.
Take us through your musical journey. Where and when did it all start for you?
I grew up in a musical family. My three aunts, my dad, my grandma, they all played instruments, all wrote songs. And so I grew up in a musical house, always were playing, and then I started playing guitar when I was about 13. And when I was about 16, I decided, you know what, I want to make music for the rest of my life. This is awesome. And so I've just been grafting at that for many years. And we used to have a band a few years ago, always been playing on and off in bands and things. But with lockdown, just like it limited contact between people. So I decided, you know what, I can play a lot of instruments. I have access to opportunity to record, so I figured let me play with some friends. I mean, play with my producer friend. He helped me a lot. He pushed me, and in the process I realized, it's actually I'm a little bit more capable than I thought. I might be a bit more talented, but I mean that's sounds arrogant to say.
No, it's okay.
So it was, it's been a process, but that's basically where it started. It's like growing up in a musical house, being surrounded by people making music, and I just wanted to snatch that.
What kind of instruments do you play?
So I play guitar, I play drums, I play piano. Technically, I suppose you could say maybe the voice is an instrument as well. So I play myself, and then I play ukulele and bass as well. And flapjacks.
So what really, informed the decision to go for these, or did you just play around these instruments, or you decided that you want to do all these instruments?
Well, I started with guitar, and then eventually we had a band, and they had too many guitarists. I was like, I need to play something else, because I want to be in a band. So then I started playing drums, and I mean, you just progress from there. Because, I think the nice thing is once you understand music, it's a lot easier to pick up another instrument because you don't have to learn, let's say, the theory of music. And that is so it's it's an ongoing experience for me to just try and upskill and branch out to other things.
And what genre would you classify yourself under?
I'd say for now it's definitely more like an alternative rock.
Okay.
Sort of a rock. I'd say not really classic rock, but also not really hard rock. It's sort of like alternative rock, maybe folk rock. I'd say I would fluctuate between maybe alt rock and folk rock. That's sort of like the
just listening
butter zone.
To the song in the background.
Yes.
And I sense a bit of country music as well.
It can be, So this is a bit of a stripped down version. I'm actually going to play a bit of that song later as well. It's more of a stripped down version. The full band version is like drums, heavy guitars, big vocals. But I like doing both. I think that's the beauty of being a solo artist, if you will. I can go to a place, and if I don't have the budget for full band, I can just do it myself, like stripped down acoustic. And if we do have maybe a bigger a festival or something, we mentioned a few festivals that I play, then I can play with a full band and really give it horns, as they say.
And I guess that's the advantage of being a versatile artist. You can just do just about anything. And you decided to go back to studio to sort of reinvent yourself.
Yes.
I mean, why so? I mean, what informed the decision to reinvent yourself, and why was it important for you to do so? And just take us through some of the lessons that came with being in this musical journey.
Well, I used to play in a band, and the logistics behind like coordinating 4 guys.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And I think from an admin perspective, I was always running that sort of part of the ship and cracking the whip. And it is kind of tough because you don't want to be the guy that's always like pressuring people to like, okay, come on, get this. We need the documents for this and that. I figured, lockdown is a nice opportunity. I don't have the option of playing with other people. Sure. Let me check it out for myself. And I realized, it's a lot more fun spending that time because I can play all the instruments. I can really almost what I'm hearing and what I'm envisioning, I can actually put down onto a recording.
Right.
And yes, I mean, it does come with drawbacks. Music is something that's supposed to be shared with people.
Sure.
And that's where my hope is that from live music, I can actually share that with other musicians. So that was basically I suppose the thought behind the reinvention. Sort of like a mitosis of myself, just breaking out over there.
Right. And apart from running a band, which is very, very tough, I would suppose, you've also had to deal with depression, and you are very vocal about your brush with depression.
Yes, I think it's important to sort of like approach it very eloquently. You want to make sure that you don't like speak between the lines. Like, I'm not an expert on depression. So but for me, like what I've found is being on medication really numbed me. And it slowed me down. And so I figured, I should probably try and get free of that. And I realized that there were a lot of things in my life that were affecting my depression. Like one thing was I have back issues and like a lot of back pain.
Sure.
And I also I actually had like a bit of problems with pornography actually. So and I did some research, and like the effect that has on your brain is horrible. Like it's almost like I call it an unsanctioned dopamine bath.
Sure.
Where you just you basically submerging your brain into dopamine chemicals, which is the same chemicals that your body secretes when you're on cocaine or heroin or nyaupe or whatever, like drugs. And I was like, that's bad. And
it takes a great deal of bravery for you to be talking about such.
You know what? I think the thing is, I've dealt with it. It's not something that I'm ashamed about. I think a lot of people struggle with it, and my encouragement to anyone out there is just deal with it. Don't let this thing sort of because it's holding you back the whole time, and it's like you need to be humble enough to ask for help. And I'm so grateful that I had people around me to help me, and even like my faith is a big part of that. So
and ignoring it will only make matters worse.
It will, and it's like you think you've got it under control now, but it's a beast that just eventually comes back.
Yeah.
Like you think you can control that thing, you can't.
But do you think that music has sort of been a therapy for you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I probably have about 50 or 100 songs that I don't think I will necessarily share with people because it's written from a very dark place, and it's a way of coping, like you're saying. It's definitely like therapy. It's almost taking the thoughts and the worries that I have and just putting them down on paper and dealing with that, and that's been really helpful.
Okay. Now let's talk about your new EP. Tell us more about it and the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, so this EP is called Bring Me a Musician.
Yeah.
I'm a musician and I am bringing myself to the industry, and I've got a whole bunch of songs on there dealing with heavier topics.
Yes.
I tend to get very introspective, and so it's always I need to force myself to be more happy. Sure. In terms of music, I tend to make very depressing songs. So I think it's a nice mix of one of the songs deals with cults and people who get caught up in a cult. And then another thing is just about, I wrote it with a friend of mine, and it's just about I'm not into you, dude, just leave me alone. But she sings on that, so that's a song that features on the EP. And then there's also a song that, for instance, I wrote to my wife. It's something I'm very proud of. It's been a few years in the making, and I'm incredibly stoked to share this. I'm also doing a Tyne podcast. It's so difficult to explore heavy topics like this in a 3-minute song or 4-minute song. So I'm doing a podcast where I'm actually speaking for an hour with professionals on the subject, just to delve into it a little bit deeper, because I think it's important.
CONBAD, lovely chatting to you, man.
It's beautiful. Thanks so much.
Yours is such a beautiful, inspirational story.
Thanks,
and keep on inspiring so many people. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That was a multi-instrumentalist Conrad taking us through his musical journey and unpacking his latest project titled Bring Me a Musician.